you can't just jump into it. You've got to create some rapport with your client, and you've got to make them feel safe. And remember that you're talking to their younger self while you're gaining rapport. If you don't have rapport and you don't give compassion to that client, then they are going to maybe not be fully engaged in it, or they're not going to feel safe in letting those feelings come up and allowing yourself to really deal with it. I think the pre-talk is really important. When you're talking with your client, you just want to give so much compassion, give them a couple other examples of things that you've done to release the trauma, and give them that positive outcome that is like, well, I had a man who used to wet the bed when he was a child, and it was so traumatic because he got in trouble all the time. And after we worked together, just, 2 or 3 sessions, he got his strength back. He had released the effects of that trauma. And now he's just so happy in his life and feeling so much more productive and loving in every way. So what I did was I gave them an example of something that might happen to them. And then I would future pace it for them to feel what it's like. So in our conversation, future pacing. So for you, I know this trauma feels like the most overwhelming thing that you've had to deal with for so many years. But I have a feeling that after we do, just a few sessions, you're going to be feeling differently. You're going to wake up with a happiness and a smile on your face. The weight is going to be lifted, and it might happen, really soon, or it might take a week or 2, but we're going to have that happen. So I future paced how they're going to feel.
Okay.
So taking the fear out of going through trauma, because they think it's going to be like super painful and more traumatic, and they're scared to go back into it.
Do you have like a plan? Like, here's what I do, session 1, this is in a second session, this is in the 4th session, or do you play by ear?
In my case, I play it by ear. There are some basics that I do, which
Gaining
rapport is one of the first ones. You don't want to jump into the trauma stuff. Your client is really scared to go there. So gain rapport with them in the first session. Do something that just makes them feel really good. And that begins to suggest that there's a moment in the future where you're going to be feeling really free from this and feeling really good and find yourself again. And I know you want that now, and you want to create that, and knowing that that will happen for you. So that would be the essence of a first session, getting ready. And then, at whatever point they're ready is when you'll get to go into that memory, because their brain is going to block it out for the most part for quite a while. I worked with a man who was in his early 30s, and he was a schizophrenic, and he had been diagnosed as a schizophrenic, which hypnotherapists probably aren't supposed to work with people who are diagnosed with that, but he wanted help, and he'd already been to all the psychiatrists, doctors, drugs, everything. And we worked on his trauma wherever it was. And this was after several sessions. And then I had him go back to the first time that he felt that feeling that made him feel what it is that's happening. And he was like maybe 2 or 3 years old, and he started sobbing, and I just held him. I moved my chair over and just held him while he sobbed, and told him to, tell me what's happening, explain what's happening. And we worked through that. Well, the things that happened in that memory made him want to go and kill people as an adult, seriously kill people. I mean, and now we're supposed to report that. We're not legally obligated to, but are you going to go turn him in because he said he wants to kill people? I'll keep him in my office for a few more sessions before I do that.
Yeah, of course.
Your client says that the child is happy, she's smiling, she's playing with the leaves on the ground, or she's making a necklace with beads at the kitchen table, whatever she's doing. If she's happy, you release the trauma. You didn't release the memory of it. We're not asking people to forget, but you've released the effects of the trauma. If you go find that inner child and you say, tell me what she's doing right now, she says, well, she's in her bedroom and she's afraid. She's kind of hiding in the corner because she's not sure. if something's about to happen, then you didn't get the initial event. That's fine. Your next session is then be sure you go to the first time you felt this feeling that you're having. Go back to that very first time when you noticed this
Mhm.
sensation or whatever the